Hey guys, it's Sean here from the Fish Whisperers. Let me show you how we catch a fish. So first up we get our bait. We use this special tool. Now this special tool is called a bread punch. That goes into a slice of bread as long as it's on a flat surface. We put it in and we twist like so, and we have our bait ready to go. Now there's this slit designed for our hook. Hook goes in, comes out. Now that's our perfect bread bait ready to go. Now let's see how long it takes us to catch a fish. The bait's in the water, we're watching the float. When it goes down, we're on. This shouldn't take too long. Oh, there's a bite. And there's a fish. Just like so. Have a look.
Sean is one of the most intelligent participants in this documentary. In fact, his whole family seem all very successful from worldly perspectives. Sean proudly embraces his Irish heritage. When he was in school, I remember him as a sports enthusiast with an infectious personality, always cheerful and happy to see me. I saw him a few times carrying fat books around the school, and he was also known for having wild and crazy parties. But now, he is running his own business at the age of 19. When Sean speaks, you can see his sharp minds at work. He effortlessly recalls specific dates from his parents' lives and provides a logical and brilliant answers to questions. I left wondering what factors have contributed to Sean's becoming who he is today. Is it his genetics, his close Irish family ties, or his strong relationship with those around him? Together, let's discover the story behind Sean's remarkable journey.
Yes, I'm Sean McAllister. I'm 19 years old, born and raised here in the Hornsby area, the Hornsby catchment. I'm half Irish, raised in Australia. My mum was born in South Africa, but of English descent. Okay. Went to school at Thornley West Primary School, and then I went to Penno High School. And here we are.
Have you always been speak this fast?
I always do speak fast.
Oh, really? So what does that mean to half Irish? What does that mean?
Well, so dad was born in Ireland, in Belfast, in 1960, and he lived there till he was 19, and then he immigrated. I have lots and lots of family over there. I spent probably 5 months there earlier this year living over there.
What does that mean?
So what does it mean? Okay. It means that my blood is of Irish descent. It means that I culturally feel quite Irish. I'm currently learning how to speak Irish, or trying to. That I'm very connected to the Irish land and the Irish people. But I can't say that I'm Irish in a sense, because of course I wasn't born there, I wasn't raised there. But I definitely feel connected to Ireland.
So have you ever had a bit of identity crisis?
I wouldn't say identity crisis. It's sort of been like, I've always felt a little bit Irish, but after living there this year for months and sort of getting a better understanding, as well as doing my extension history project on the Great Famine, and sort of learning more about it, I feel more Irish now than I ever have. Like, it's always been a part of my identity, but now it's a lot more. So yeah.
When would you go back?
I'm actually going back February next year, so I'm going back for a month, and I'll do some more Europe as well. So I found return tickets for $12.90 to London.
Okay, when do you come back?
$13.90 in March, so I'm just going away for a month. So I'll tick off some more Europe. I'll do a couple of weekends away, but yeah, got to go back and see everyone.
And yeah, tell me about the new girlfriend you met during this trip.
Yeah, so she's Kira. She's incredible. Very, very happy. But we're not being idiots in this sense with long distance relationships. They don't work. 99%, like 90+% of them fail. So we're playing it by ear. If it's meant to be, it will be. There's no pressure on it, and we're just making it up as we go along. But couldn't be happier at the moment, and yeah, and we'll make it up as we go.
What's so special about her that you made even try the long distance?
Well, it's hard. Just very, very mature human being, very intelligent, funny, and just sure of herself. Totally independent in herself, and yeah, the type of person that you'd want to be with. So, but we're taking it as it comes day by day, and if it is meant to be, it will be.
How come? I understand she's doing uni degree, kind of.
Yeah, so she was doing biomedical science. Now she's doing nursing.
Why? Can you move to there for a while and accompany her?
Maybe. However, the quality of life in Belfast isn't the greatest at the moment. As well as I've got my own business over here, which I'm currently trying to launch.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's that?
So it's in the fishing industry. So fishing would be my passion, fishing in cars. Sort of always had a dream to teach people how to fish and bring fishing to people. And we have a methodology of fishing which makes fishing accessible to everyone. So today I just got my working with children check. I've got all the stock. I've got government permission to run out events out of national parks. Looking to get registered into the NDIS sector. Should be starting events here in about the next month. We should be running events. I've got people wanting to be working for me and ready to work, and a bunch of clients ready. We just need to get all the paperwork and back end done. I've got all the stock. It's now just about getting off the ground, so that's quite exciting.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
You're only 19.
Yeah, so we should run events this summer, and then within a year or two have 20 plus licensees hopefully around the country. That's pretty realistic for what we're doing.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are our own niche. There's no one else that does it.
But you're not going to uni then?
No, not at the moment. I don't want to write off the possibility, but at the moment, if I can put the same amount of effort I'd put to uni towards my business, I know I'd have a very, very successful business. I'm also not going into the business alone. I've got some very wise heads with me that have done years and years and years in businesses and own their own, and I'm taking advice from them and sort of not being...
Who are they?
So you know Jack Bidwell's dad?
Yeah.
Have you met Stuart?
Oh, no. He's doing business as well.
So Jack's involved as well. So Stuart, his dad, he's an accountant by trade, but has multiple of his own businesses, very successful, and a smart head on him, and a very, very useful mentor. As well as other people within the NDIS sector. Just the other day I had a meeting with an accountant who specialises in NDIS, and looking to get clients up together once we got all the paperwork done, which majority of it should be done today. And then any time in the first month of the new year, should be running events and start to move into it. And it's very, very exciting, and that's what I want to do long term.
Wow.
Yeah, that's looking good.
When did you figure out?
Oh, this has been in the works for years. We couldn't run events during COVID, so we had to put it off for, 2.5 years.
At what age did you have this?
So it was my dad, so he bought all the stock probably when I was 14.
Okay.
About that, or maybe even younger. He had the idea, and then it sort of transformed the possibility of it, and then realised, okay, well, this is what I can work towards with making this a career for myself as a future, as working for myself as a business owner. And of course, during COVID, that rode off 2.5 years. Then there was school during the same time, which made it harder to prioritise the business. Then towards the end of the pandemic, I was like, well, I can't really do events still, so I'm going to go travel. So then I went travelling for 9 months, and then now I'm back here, and since I've been back, it's gun-ho, let's get this up and running and get it started, and it's very exciting.
Wow, how was your ATAR?
Okay, high 70s.
Huh?
High 70s.
High
I lost all care for it when the last lockdown came in and we did everything online. Trials got cancelled.
Yeah.
I was doing well. I think I was tracking over a 98er with all my previous things. I was doing really well. And then because I wasn't wanting to go to uni, the ATAR number was basically just like screw you. I can do my work, have everything set up, have a social life and still do quite well at school. And then the actual number itself lost meaning because during COVID, of course, unis were accepting everyone. The actual value of a certain number disappeared. So then I didn't do any study or any work for the last probably 2 terms.
Oh.
Yeah, I probably did 2 hours most study for one subject, and that was extension science. I managed to get a band 6 in that, which was alright. That was probably the only one I put 2 hours of study into. But no, I really enjoyed school. I definitely really did try, and I did well during the school. It was just that last few months, because the ATAR was not what I was chasing for uni, but more just to get the number, but the number itself then lost meaning, and I was like, eh.
Tell me about your family.
Yeah, so my mum was born in South Africa in 1971. She immigrated when I believe she was 7 due to the apartheid. And then her and her sister and her parents then left in a sailboat, and they actually went around the world finding places where they're going to end up staying. And she went to multiple countries, probably 5 or 6 different countries, and lived there. She was changing primary schools every few months for different countries around the world.
Wow.
Eventually landed in Ballina in northern New South Wales in the, when was it? In her final year of primary school, and then that's where they stayed, and that's where she grew up. And then she came down to Sydney when she was working with her job, and then met my dad. And then my dad, born in 1960 during the Troubles in Belfast, left in 1979 at 19, went to the Canary Islands, and then to one of the countries in the South Pacific, I think, and then eventually landed in Australia, and sort of lived here ever since. He was a coder.
Coder?
Yeah, so he coded for massive companies, worked for himself and was quite successful in that, and worked his ass off, and yeah, he loves his fishing. He's good boy.
How come you remember all the numbers?
What numbers?
Dates and the birthdays and not the years.
And not the years.
You remember all the years that the one?
Well, I don't know. That's probably just how I think. Nothing I've ever really thought about. But yeah.
What kind of influence your parents have on you?
A lot. We're incredibly close. I have the best relationship you could ever ask for with both of them. They know absolutely everything. There's total openness and trust and freedom, and I've been absolutely blessed with my childhood and my parents. It doesn't get better than what I've had. I've been incredibly blessed to have what I have, and very grateful for my parents.
Are they ambitious for you?
Yeah, definitely. But they'll back me. My dad's always said the same thing. I back people that back themselves. So, but absolutely wishing me to pursue my dreams and goals and look after me. And definitely want me to be independent and work for myself. Like I've been working since I was 14, 15, full time, and it's important. That's very important. But yeah, they're very, very incredible people that have an amazing community around them, and yeah, I'm lucky to be a part of it.
What community?
So, well, there was my older siblings. They're now 37, 35 and 33, roughly.
Wow.
And then when I was younger, they all had because our house was always the house where events always took place, and there was always friends and family around, and almost every day of the week. So my entire childhood, I was surrounded by, let's say, a net group of 100 people that were around the house every week, and I grew up with all these different people that were all part of the community of our house, which was known as the garage. So I always grew up around a lot of people older than me, and yeah, big community. Loved it.
Tell me about their siblings.
So the eldest, Marianne, she's 37. She has a uni degree in philosophy, but the philosophy of neuroscience, I believe. She actually, and I think she did a master's as well, just recently. She did exceptionally well. She actually got a perfect GPA.
Wow. Is it possible?
I think she was one of the first. She got high distinctions in everything from start to finish for the 4 or 5 years. So she did really, really well in that. Then she was living in Belfast there for a little while with some of the family. And she's now back over here. Then my older brother.
What is she doing?
At the moment, I don't actually know. I think she's getting back on her feet here with hopefully new work. She is a freelance writer and designer. But since coming back, she's only just arrived back recently. So I see her on Sunday, but I don't know what she's doing work-wise at the moment.
Is that the artist sister or no?
Maeve's the art one, my younger one.
The big sister, what's her name?
Marianne.
Marianne.
Yeah. And then my older brother, he's 35. He's married with 2 kids, my 2 nephews, Ethan and Cohen. He's also in coding, but a different element than Dad. Rather than write systems, he fixes problems and diagnoses stuff. And he's, I think, the only person qualified for what he does in Australia, and is incredibly good at what he does. He's a very, very good pool player. Yeah. So I go over there most weeks and play pool with him, and
Do you win?
Sometimes, very rarely. He was ranked one of the top 5 or 10 players in Australia for a while, and yeah, so he can definitely play. Won 2 games the other night. I won at 2. It was 2-1 at one point against him, and I was quite happy with myself. And then I lost. But no, so he's a good, very, very good man. And then there's the youngest one of those 3 is Michelle. She just had her first daughter. She's now 1. She was one of the youngest ever manager in a branch of the ASX in the Australian Stock Exchange.
Wow.
She's recently taken a new role for a bigger company that deals with the S&P 500s over the world, and is a manager in that, and is very successful in what she does, and is incredibly intelligent. All 3 of them have done really well in their chosen fields, and yeah, I'm very, very happy for them.
And younger siblings?
So I have Maeve. So she's in year 12 now, just turned 17. She's amazing, incredibly talented in almost everything she does. It's now just what would she like to do. She's incredible artist, incredible writer, bloody awesome at maths. And then it's basically she's got the freedom to choose what she wants to do, and there's no rush for her, but I have no doubt that she'll be very successful.
When did your mom have your youngest sister? How old was she?
Oh, okay, so how was one now? 2, 1, May is 17, 24. She was 34? 34?
What?
Yeah, my mum was. But my dad was 45. There's an 11-year age difference between my parents.
Your oldest brother?
No, so the older siblings are from my dad's first marriage.
Oh,
Yeah, no, definitely. It wouldn't make sense otherwise.
Exactly. That's I was doing math in my head.
It wasn't working out.
Okay. Oh no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but we're very, very close knit. Very good relationship with my father's ex-partner, who's been a mum to us our whole lives. We are all very connected in that way. There's no distance in that sense.
How come everyone in your family are so successful?
I think they're hardworking, definitely, and yeah, they've done well. They're very intelligent, and they've killed their chosen fields, and I'm very proud of them.
How?
Hard work, application, and yeah, I think the biggest thing would just be hard work. Like, they've all worked their asses off to be where they are, and yeah, they deserve all the success they get.
What are your feelings towards your parents now?
Amazing. I absolutely love them to bits. As I said, an amazing relationship. I was out on the boat with Dad and my younger sister last night.
Where?
On the boat.
Oh.
But I'm very, very close. I see them every day, and very, very lucky.
What are your ambitions?
Definitely the fishing business. It's called the Fish Whisperers. I definitely want that to be my future as a, not job, but as a career. Well, not career even, for entrepreneurial sense of the word. But yeah, that's what I want to do long term. I see that being at least Australia wide, if not the potential to go internationally in some regards. The business model for it has a lot of potential. It's now about just nailing the bottom end and getting everything together and doing it right. Ambitions, that's definitely. I also love my cars. I'd love to become a very good driver. Drifting, I go on the racetrack and I drift.
Drifting?
Yeah, I've got a drift car. I like to break cars. I find that quite fun.
Breaking the car?
Oh, like just.
Breaking the car.
Yeah, break the cars. But yeah, I really enjoy it, and I'd love to sort of develop in that sense and keep going. I find it a lot of fun. It's a cool hobby for me to have. But yeah, and I've got a lot more travel I'd love to do. I really want to see Asia, especially India and Latin America. I have my sights set on those two. That's probably the next big journeys.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're very ambitious.
I mean, life's boring if you don't have an ambition, isn't it? The future is given by your present is given by the future you're living into, and if it's a boring future, well, then it's a boring present.
Okay.
So we'll see what we can make out of it.
We'll see what we're going to see in 7 years.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Yeah. What are the obstacles you have now?
In terms of life in general, business, or what?
Yeah, everything. Personally and then life-wise.
Probably personally, my dad's going through some health shit, which isn't the greatest. His arteries are sort of going bad. He's got a pretty major surgery coming up on the 12th. Both arteries are very blocked, and it's not looking too good.
Oh.
So
How's he?
He's doing okay. It's
No, how old is he?
only 62.
62.
Yeah, don't smoke cigarettes. It's a bad idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fucked him up. So he's going through that at the moment. It's not the greatest. It's not looking too good. Like the surgery itself will probably have an incredibly high chance of not going well.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not great. But unfortunately, that is life. The only thing certain in life is death. In a sort of morbid, very blunt and truthful way.
Okay.
But you know, I'm incredibly blessed that one, I had a dad, two, I have the dad that I do, and three, all the memories and everything I've got. So you can't change it for the world, and what will be will be.
What are the chances?
Too high, 50% plus.
Okay, when is the surgery?
The 12th of January, if he doesn't have a stroke before that.
12th.
Yeah. So he's he's got his right artery, which got operated on 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was a 98% blockage.
Oh wow.
And he was having TIAs. Then earlier in the year or last year, he was having TIAs again, which is like mini strokes. And then he got the one on the right. They did a very new surgery, a stent they put into it, because you're not normally meant to able to operate on the artery more than once, because once the nerves are cut, to then get work on it and then put them back together, they die. So you can't cut it apart, and they won't come back together again. But they did that, but it didn't work, so he's got a blockage on that again. But now his other one, which was clear, is now at like 80 to 99% blocked, and the one that he got operated on earlier this year is now back up to about 70% blocked. So the risk of the operation is, while he's under surgery on the left one, the right one is the only thing giving blood to his brain. And if his right one's blocked by 70%, he's only getting about, 15% of his total blood flow to his brain for 2 hours of operation, which is, not looking good. And then even once that surgery's done, that's all the surgeries that can get done on it, and then it's just waiting for a stroke. Yeah, so that's a fun one at the moment. But yeah, unfortunately, that's life.
Is it because of the smoke?
Yeah, definitely. He used to be a two-pack. He hasn't smoked cigarettes for 10, 15 years now.
Even that?
No, but he used to 2 packs a day. Very, very heavy smoker.
Why did he smoke so much?
I know his dad smoked. The whole family in Ireland smoked, and it was normal. And then it's an addiction, so yeah, that's why I don't touch nicotine at all. Fuck no. But yeah, sorry to go morbid, but yeah, that's kind of where it's at.
How did your mom?
Yeah, she's all right. We're just taking it day by day. We don't really have another choice. It's basically where we're at. Yeah.
How did they meet, your father and your mom?
So, mum was working. She was selling. It was computer technologies, and my dad was the coder for one of the companies that my mum was trying to sell to. And then I think that's where they met. And then from there they went, and they've been together probably 27 years now in total, maybe.
So you're the first son of them?
Yeah.
And then your sister?
And then my sister, and that's all that my mum and my dad have had together. And then, yeah, that's that.
I guess the long distance relationship is also kind of obstacle. I mean, this is a really heavy one, but...
No, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It's not easy. You maybe get one FaceTime a fortnight if you're lucky. You get probably two.
Oh, how come?
Because if you're both working full time, you've only got a 2-hour window in the morning and normally a 2-hour window in the afternoon where you're both free, where you're both awake. And then we both have to be free without other people around, like that you're talking to, or like family, or like if you're in the middle of like a family thing or work, or if I'm working nights or mornings or whatever. So that's where it's not as easy just to be constantly in FaceTime, but you can text every day like we do. But we're doing as well as we could ever do. And as I said, there's no pressure on it. She's free, I'm free, and if it's meant to be, it will be. If we put pressure on it, that'll be the death of it, in the sense of, there's some things that are out of our control, in the sense of an 11-hour time difference and the other side of the world. So she got 3 years of uni here, hopefully going to get her out here for a few weeks during her summer break. And yeah, we'll make it up as we go along, but that's all I can do. Yeah.
Would you get married one day?
Yeah, love to. Definitely have kids.
How many kids?
Oh, I'd love a big family. The Irish in me comes through. Like I'd have up to 6 kids if I could, financially. Yeah, it's a legacy, man. Like imagine being like 80 or 90 and sitting there and there's 30 people in a room that are direct descendants of you, and it's, you know, it's a beautiful family and a community. Like I'd much rather be 80 with a whole bunch of family around me than 80 and, you know, no kids. Fuck that.
Wow.
There's no way I could make that choice for myself. Like each to their own, and no disrespect to people that don't want kids, but for myself, I definitely do. To pass down your shit, it's the next generation, it's the learning part of it, the, you know, expressing yourself through the next generation and raising children. Like it'd be an honour. And if I can, and if I'm lucky enough to be in a position to do so, I'd absolutely. But I'm not yet. Jesus, no. No.
I assume you believe in love.
Yeah, I say I believe in love. I don't know if in the sort of chemically, yes, but also there's the non-chemical aspect to it, which is very real. Absolutely. There's some things that can't be explained by chemicals, and you know, love is one of them. I'm not religious in a sense, but I definitely believe that we know nothing about anything, and that there's almost a possibility of everything. So I don't really write off any possibilities as well. You know, we don't know shit about, you know, the afterlife or what's, you know, out of our solar system. We don't know shit. So we'd be fools to assume that we know things, but I also don't know if it conforms to any sort of book or religion. That's kind of where my head lays with that. Yeah. And like I think spirituality should find you as well. It's a very personal thing, and I think it shouldn't be forced or put pressured upon you, but if it's something that finds you throughout the course of your life, then that's what it's meant to be.
What does like love feel like?
I'd say it's definitely an overwhelming sort of in the most beautiful way. It's a very powerful emotion, and it's one that's hard to ration with, but one that's, you know, inextricably connected to yourself and your identity, and also your relationships with people. There's definitely a difference between lust and love, and it's definitely important to keep the head firmly in check as well as the heart, not just let one over the top of the other. But it's definitely a very real sensation. Yeah.
How was your romantic journey throughout your life into so far here?
Well, I will say a late bloomer. I was like a foot shorter and very much still a child, even at the age of 16, just like physically. But like as I've grown up as well since then, like I'm only 19, but I'm very content with how it's been. I've been quite lucky.
Did you date a lot of people?
A few.
A few?
Yeah. Nothing too stupid, but like nothing too little either. Like I'm content.
Have you ever been in love?
I'd say so. I definitely believe there is love with me and Kira.
Have you been in love? Oh, your current girlfriend?
Yeah,
sorry.
I'd say definitely not before that. And like I was definitely in no position where I was looking for a relationship, and I'm in no rush. You know, you have the rest of your life for it. There's no point forcing something. But I definitely would say there's love with Miss Kira. And yeah, I'm a very happy man with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does success mean to you?
Well, success depends how you define it. Success.
So what is your definition of success? That's the question.
Okay, well, I wouldn't define it simply in sort of a basic term of just monetary value or, you know, assets. I don't think that defines success, because you could be successful, but then, you know, if you have a shit home life and your family that doesn't like you and you don't really have any good friends, well, then it's not really successful. It's quite lonely. You can have all the money in the world, but if you fill it with an empty house, then it's not really success. For me, success is more of a balanced, broader sort of spectrum. I want financial freedom in the sense of not freedom of just having money to do whatever I want, but to be able to have the time and care for my relationships. Like I'd rather take, if I'm in a position where I can, you know, never miss your kids' birthday parties or school events and stuff, and still be able to live a life that you want to achieve the things you want to achieve, whether it be travel, whether it be go on a trip. Like for me, that's success, is to be able to fulfill the things that are meaningful to you, and be able to chase them in a way that doesn't negatively impact your health, the health of the others around you. Like I'm definitely not one where I'm like, oh, I need $1 billion. I'd much rather have, you know, be successful, do well in my business, be sitting on enough where I have passive income to be able to sustain a family and look after them and be there. But I definitely don't think it's successful if you have that, but then you have 4 kids that don't like you because you never spend time with them because you're always working. Like it's all about the balance, and if you can get the balance right, then that's what I think true success is.
Did you have a good childhood?
Yeah, very lucky.
Tell me about your childhood.
So I was always very, very energetic. ADHD is shit. I love it. And yeah, I was very blessed to have the childhood as I did. As I said, I was incredibly lucky with my parents. They've always backed me, believed in me, and also never treated me as a child. I've always been treated as like, you know, none of the, oh, this is an adult conversation, go away, or like your opinion doesn't matter because you're younger, or just the way that they relate to me, and it's been very, very lucky. Yeah, I was loved, played a lot of sports through my childhood. I was 7-day-a-week sport from probably when I was 5. Karate I did for 7 years, if not more. Did soccer for a little bit. Cricket was sort of my main one as my youth. I used to do that. I played Green Shield level and I loved it. I gave that my all. Ended up not transforming into anything more, but if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't. And I thoroughly enjoyed my time through sport. So,
All the music.
I love music. I listen to a lot of music. 24/7 I'm listening to music almost. But making music, no. But I do love music.
Singing, dancing, instrument.
Oh, I can't really sing or dance or play an instrument, but like I'll definitely have my fun and I'll give it a go. I'm quite shameless in that sense. I'm free up here to be able to just fuck it, let's dance. I'm not too fussy. I'm not overly proficient in it, but I'm not incapable. But the singing and the instruments, no, we'll leave that to people that know what they're doing.
Do parents own properties?
No, so they actually rented. So Dad had the choice of, you know, let's look at houses and everything, but he instead chose to raise my younger sister and I in the area that we are, and the area that we're in Wesley. And like he was like, that's what I want, and the most feasible option there was renting. And he's like, that's where I want you guys to be for your childhood and your schools. And they chose the quality of life over buying an asset.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a wise man.
Yeah, it does. So like there was the option of, you know, let's go get a, let's say, cheaper house or an investment house up the coast that's going to appreciate, but then you wouldn't have the quality of life that you do. As I keep saying, I'm incredibly blessed with the childhood I've had.
Tell me more. Let's talk a bit slightly more about your father. What he's like.
Amazing man. Very Irish. Swears a shitload. But incredibly confident, incredibly intelligent. And yeah, brings light to whatever room he's in. Generates himself amazingly. And yeah, he's able to work shit out of nothing very, very quickly. He's got an amazing mind.
I guess you got that part from your father too, then.
I'd like to think I get some of it. I hope so anyway. Yeah, he came over Australia at 19 on his own with nothing, and has built the life that he's built for himself over here. Self-taught everything in his coding, where he was become one of the best coders in the Southern Hemisphere when he was coding for work for whoever he wants, write his checks. He's done incredibly well for himself, and it's all on the back of his own hard work and on his own mind. So.
But you don't have a big Irish family, cousins here in Australia?
So I have some. So there's some down in Melbourne. There's some living with us up here. There's some in Perth, and there's some in Tasmania. We're everywhere. My grandmother was one of 11, and my granddad was one of 9. So
Wow.
and everywhere. You can't really escape them. Yeah, the McAllisters are like one of the second biggest families in Ireland, or at least in the north.
Holy Jesus.
Yeah, so like throughout history there's a lot of us. We have our own gravesite, which is just hundreds of McAllisters and descendants of McAllisters. It's pretty ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean
impressive too.
yeah, I mean like condoms were illegal in Belfast, in Ireland, until like the 1970s. So no wonder they had to keep warm, and they didn't really have TV. So they needed entertainment, and suddenly they had 8 kids. It was very normal. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
What quality are you looking for a partner?
Definitely independence. I'm definitely like independent in themselves, assured of themselves, and you know, ambitious. They have their own goals, their own things they want to do. You know, I'm definitely a believer that a relationship is not two halves becoming a whole, but more two separate, powerful entities coming together to share a world, not create a world. Like I don't think a relationship should be my entire existence depends on another human being, but if it's two powerful human beings that can come together and have the world at their hands and their fingertips, well, that's what I see as a beautiful relationship, and a powerful relationship, one that isn't fluctuating on, you know, emotions in one person, because suddenly your entire emotional concept is then reliant on someone else. I don't think that's an injustice to any relationship. I couldn't deal with any toxicity or clinginess or control or jealousy, but just a free spirit that's strong-minded, independent, and sure of themselves and confident. and powerful. Like for me anyway, like I don't want someone that's a pushover.
Okay.
You know?
Do you believe that people go to private school usually they tend to be more like upper class, middle class, or better chance to be successful in the society than people from public school?
Well, so there's definitely an advantage from private school in the sense of the contacts that one would receive as a result of private school education is definitely outweighs that of public. And there's the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Like, it definitely gets your foot in the door.
Yeah.
I think as a whole it gets you a much better foot in the door, but do I think it's a marker for success? No. Is there probably a higher percentage that is successful? Probably, because they've had that push, that head start in a way. I definitely think there's the possibility of moving up classes. If there was to be a quality that you would be able to identify within each class that was like within someone that was moving up a class, it would have to be hardworking and also forward thinkingness and carefulness and carefulness in their actions and their words. Like there was a study ages ago which was, so there was kids in the room and they tracked them over their lives, and now the kids were given one simple experiment. They were told, you can have this jelly bean now or 2 jelly beans now, or if you wait an hour you can have a whole bag. And the study showed that in the course of their lives, the children that were able to go, I'm going to forego the 2 jelly beans now for instant pleasure, and I'm going to go for reap the rewards down the track, that was a massive trait that led to success in their lives. And I think that's a big one for being successful.
Okay. If you have to give numbers to a chance of people from the working class or lower class going up, climb the ladder, or middle class to go upper middle class, what other percentage would you give?
I'd be a low percentage, definitely. Like there's a reason the middle class makes up the bulk, working class makes up the bulk of society.
What are the reasons?
So?
What are the reasons?
Well, first off, there isn't an even playing field. Those that are born with more money into a family with more money, of course, are able to go, okay, I've got a better education, or an education in the least, to say, let's say they get their foot in the door in certain jobs and industries or in unis. They also have an opportunity where from 16, if you look at 2 people, if one at the age of 16 has to become financially dependent, their family is then financially dependent on them from age 14 to contribute. They, of course, don't have the time to further their studies, education, their own sort of business. Whereas someone that is in a family where they've got sort of a safety net behind them, they have more freedom to chase their goals and their ambitions. That is sort of a head start that definitely makes a difference. What was the question? Where did it go?
Percentage of the that can make it on the top?
Probably much less than 5%. Not everyone is born with the same head starts. To be born with 2 arms, 2 legs is a great start, but then 2 arms, 2 legs and a working brain IQ wise is a great head start. And then 2 arms, 2 legs, a working brain IQ wise, but then to have EQ, but then to have all that, but then also be in a position where you're able to devote time to something that gives you potential for future. It needs a whole combination of factors to work in, and then the person also just needs to be incredibly hardworking and driven. So there's a massive amount of factors that have to come in to create the perfect storm for someone to rise up. Otherwise, it's going to be the continuation of the same, which of course is easier as well. Like, it's easier to stay in the same pattern than change. And also like the top or upper class don't want to be inundated with 1,000 people. They want their elitistness. It's part of being in the 1%. And it does make sense that the 1% is incredibly difficult to get to. There's a reason why you're in the 1% and it's not the 100%. But it absolutely takes hard work, and I'm a long way away from it. But in the global perspective as well, pretty much any of us living in these first world countries with a house and go to school, we're in the top 1% of the world. We're coming from it with a very Western perspective and the perspective based off a first world experience. But if you look globally, the fact that, we have food each day and we go to school and, we have a job definitely puts us in the top 1% of the world, without a doubt. But if we're talking in first world countries, then of course there's a different metric. It's incredibly hard to move up classes. I definitely think it's possible, but it requires a lot of application and a perfect storm, as I said.
Perfect storm.
Yeah, of all the different factors to work together to then get someone that has the opportunity then to rise up. Yeah.
I almost agree with everything that you said, but
Go on.
this is what I think. How lots of people I've interviewed so far, they don't really think like that. They don't see like that. I guess maybe just 1 second. The fact. How do you get this perspective? You think?
Well, I do like to read. I do like to educate myself. But I've also travelled. I also like to speak to people and get other opinions. So I like to have my thoughts and opinions challenged and questioned a lot. And therefore,
Who challenges you?
So?
Who challenges your opinions and questions?
Lots of people, like my parents do, my family, friends do, and just randoms that I'll meet. If an opportunity arises for an intelligent discussion where my opinions and their opinions are respectfully challenged and picked apart, that's a beautiful thing. Like, it's important to have discussion where you are able to solidify your views and be open to change. Like, I'm of the belief that I know nothing about anything, that there's infinitely more to learn. And to be of the opinion that my current opinion is totally fact is a very stupid one.
Wow.
No.
What do you read?
I used to read a lot of books.
Used to?
Yeah, I haven't recently. I did while travelling a bit. It sort of fluctuates. Sometimes I read a fair bit, sometimes I don't. I definitely keep myself up to date politically and sort of in the online spectrum, so I'm not really into like watching TV or anything like that. But
you're not watching TV?
I don't really ever watch TV or TV shows.
Oh, that's incredible. How would you do that?
I don't know. I prefer to be outside. When I got free time, I go outside. I go fishing. I go driving. I can do shit. I find that stuff much more enjoyable than I do sitting inside watching a Netflix series that I find incredibly boring and repetitive. Okay. Yeah, I've always been that way.
Wow. So, what kind of book do you read?
Most of my childhood was fiction. Started to get on the more, like, I hate the word self-help books, but self-betterment books, let's say. Yeah. A little bit, like some Jordan Peterson. There's one as well that I'd love to start soon, which is The Power of Now, which is just about the world, creating a world that is yours and entirely in your own hands that you're responsible for. And I think that's, back to your question of success, is to have a world that is entirely at your hands, that is yours, that you are not the victim of your situation, your circumstance, and the people around you. And I think that comes from within, and an understanding that you do actually have the power to create your own world and your own reality, and not just to be a victim of everything that's said.
What about literature?
I have read a few classics. I can't remember, like, nothing massive. I wouldn't say that I'm an avid reader in that department, but I love history. I do a lot of historical readings.
Like what?
Oh, a lot. Like I did recently into Irish history, but the wars, like Vietnam, World War II, World War One. But then just different historical events throughout history. I'm very, very interested in history. I think we can learn a lot from history. I think it's a beautiful art as well as a science, and it's quite a powerful vessel that requires learning from. To ignore history is a very stupid thing.
What about science-wise?
Love it. Biology in particular. Again, it ties into fishing. I'm definitely science brain. Like, I always found science really easy. I did quite well at school in science.
10-6. Not even studying.
Yeah, that was an extension. Yeah, I actually topped Norman Hess boys.
No way.
Yeah, I did all right there. I was happy.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so like science came to me. It made sense. You know, like for me it was all logical, and I'd look at English and I could write, but I'd just go, you're just spitting BS to BS to BS to make it link to BS. Now I love spitting BS, so I'm quite proficient at it. I can shit chat a lot, but science for me was in a logical order that made a lot of sense. Yeah.
But you believe in love, that it's not all the chemical, you believe in the other side.
Absolutely.
I
believe that we know nothing about anything, and not everything can be answered by science. Where does the conscience come from? Like for me, that's one that it lies down to, and like your gut feeling. You know, when the gut feeling is about people or events within like a split second, like there's no rational thought there, but you get a feeling and it's 99% of it's right. Where does that come from? Where does your conscience come from? Why are we awake?
Okay. Then let's ask this question then.
Yeah.
Do you have a religion?
I don't have religion in the sense of any specific religion. Like, I'm definitely not religious. Like, I don't believe in any sort of... I don't believe in the Bible or the Quran or... but I do believe there's beautiful elements and truth within each. And I think if you look at the Bible and the Quran, for example, as a beautiful way to live your life in respect to yourself and your others, without the pressure and without the this is 100% the truth behind it. I think there's a lot of gold in it. Like a lot of the early biblical stories, if you don't take them literally but take them as a metaphor for perspectives, I think there's a lot of beauty in it. But do I believe that religion has been used as a form of control throughout history? Absolutely. Has it been milked and used to kill civilization after civilization? Absolutely. There's a lot of bad in religion, but there's also a lot of beauty in religion. And I'd be an idiot to say that Western society wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for Catholicism or Christianity. Like, all of our law is literally from the Bible, and our morals and our moral values and our virtues, even for people like myself that aren't, let's say, religious, stem from the Bible. Just that's what our society is built upon. Do I think that it should be a weapon in Parliament? No. I think everyone should have religious freedom, of course, and just a respect thing. Like, religion for me, as I said before, I think spirituality should find you. And if it does conforming to a certain religion or book, then awesome. At the moment, it's just, I believe in the possibility of a higher power. Not necessarily that there 100% is one or that there isn't, but the possibility of one. What about deaths?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Like the afterlife or the death?
The concept of death.
I'm of the belief that, you're alive as long as your memory is spoken and carried on. Like, like, what is alive? Is your heart beating? Because there's people's hearts beating, but they're obviously not alive. And then there's the difference between being alive and living. And I don't know. Like, I think death is definitely very real, of course, and I think it's a natural order of society, or not society, of the environment, of Mother Nature. And it's essential. But, yeah, like, it's a hard one in that sense of what do I think of it. I think it is a necessity to the natural order of the world. It carries a heavy meaning and a lot of power, and of course it impacts everyone in their life at some point. For me, it was my best mate 4 years ago, and that's part of life. Like, it comes, and it's very powerful, but it's very real, and it's the only thing promised to us in this life is that we're going to die.
What about the possibility of your parents' death?
Yeah, that's a hard one, especially like facing it now with Dad.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yeah.
You can sort of prepare yourself as much as you can, which is like let's be realistic. But it's going to hit you like a sack of shit. Like, it's going to rock you, rock me. I'm saying you. It's going to absolutely rock me, and it'll be a massive part of my life gone, and a major influential figure in my life, and yeah. But in the same sense, it's the understanding of the luckiness for what I've had rather than the upset for what I don't. Like the fact that I've had him, and the people that I've had in my life for the time that I've had, the golden memories I've shared, that in itself is an absolute blessing that very, very little people achieve, let alone having a dad, then let alone having a good dad, and then a dad that's been around their whole life. Like, in that sense, it's as good as it could ever get. And he's absolutely lived his life to the fullest, and the fact that I've got him to that I'm an adult is a miracle, and every moment from here is a blessing, and I think that's the only way I can sort of approach this. Just appreciation for what we have rather than upset for what we don't.
What is a good thing or most enjoyable things or important thing in your life now?
Most enjoyable things?
Important things and good things. Can talk about
traveling is definitely an enjoyable thing, as well as important. I think it's important to gain perspective, and appreciate what you have and the life that you take for granted. So traveling is beautiful and very, very important, as well as very enjoyable. Important things in my life would definitely be with the business at the moment, trying to get that up and running as a career for myself financially, as well as just lifestyle and sustainability. I think important things for my life is to be doing everything I can now to set myself up in the best position for my future, but without foregoing my youth and having as many memories and as many fun things as possible, but not detrimenting my future self. Yeah.
Do you write?
Sorry?
Do you write?
No, actually. Like, I liked it. I used to, a little bit. Like, I did all through school. I was pretty reasonable at it. But in regards to poems or diaries, no. Like, I find myself a lot just in the moment rather than pondering or reflecting too much. I definitely live in the present, and like I do take the photos and keep records and stuff, but writing wise, not too much.
Are you good with the change?
I believe so. I believe I'm adaptable. Like, I think it's important to be able to resist change and expand your horizons. I think I'm good at it. I threw myself in the deep end here overseas, which is what I wanted to do, solo with no money and make it up as go along. Like, that was a lot of change, and I'm very glad I did it.
Can I assume that you almost never had a mental issues like depression?
Yeah, I've been very blessed with that. Yeah, so I've done well. I haven't suffered any major, and that's definitely a stepping stone that I've had in my life above others that I can't take for granted, and I can't not be aware that it's a massive impact on others in their lives. Well, I also am of the belief that we have our own biases, and if we live into the world of a certain thing, that our life can become that. Now, depression and mental illness is very, very real and very impactful, but I think there's an overdiagnosis of it. This has been shown, but I also believe that, you know, there's circumstances which can absolutely lead to you feeling really, really shit, and for weeks and months on end, whether it be financially or family or friends passing or breakups. And like, it's very justified and reasonable for you to be in an absolute shit spot for 4 months as a result of something. That's an event that happens. But to turn around and go, I'm in a shit spot and now I've got depression, then what happens is then you view yourself as a depressed human being. And if you view yourself in your life as someone that is depressed, well, then you're going to live into the world of a depressed person. I think depression is 100% real, and but I think the attitude towards it makes the world of difference. Like, I know people in my life that are depressed and clinically diagnosed depressed, that live incredibly successful lives, that are powerful in their own ways. Now, they have their shit days, but they also take their own self and their life into their own hands and do everything they can, whether it be as well with medication and treatment, and then as well as going to therapy, but as well as just being rigorous on yourself and looking after yourself. And I think that plays a massive impact in it.
Are you good with expressing your emotions?
Yeah, I definitely do express emotions. I'm not a heavily emotional person. I'm a lot more rational than I am emotional, because I think emotions are entirely dependent on yourself. Like, everything is context based, and if you give it a different context and different perspectives, like 10 people could hear the exact same thing said to them by the same person, and each 10 person would have a different emotion about it. Therefore, the emotion is not dependent on the activity or the event, but the person. And then from there, I believe that if it's then dependent on the person, well, then it can be worked in my mind. And if it can be worked in my mind, then I can have power over my thoughts and choose to act on which thoughts and which thoughts to adhere by. And like, every thought, just because a thought enters your head doesn't mean it's real or should be acted on. But yeah, like, I'm not afraid to show emotion, but I'm definitely not a really emotional person.
Who's the closest person in this world to you?
In this world? I'd say my mum. Absolutely. No questions asked.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I'm extremely close to my dad. I'm extremely close to my siblings, especially my younger sister. Of course, there's Kira. I'm amazingly close to her. But in that familial sense, it's definitely my mum.
She understands you?
Yeah. And it's also the understanding, I think, of just, again, that perception of no one understands me is a terrible perception to have in this world. Like, everyone's going through shit. You're not, on your own in that sense. And it's not like someone needs to totally understand you for them to respect, or to be like, no one can truly understand you. They're not living your life. They're not going through experiencing your thoughts. You can't be truly understood, and the pursuit of trying to be understood is quite a frivolous one. But being able to respect your own self, other people's opinions of yourself, whether they're good and bad, and also how you perceive yourself around others, and how you perceive others, like, it matters. Okay. And thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Give me a hug, man.
Okay, alright, sorry.
I'm a hugger. Good to see you.
Well, thank you for the time. I'll see you again soon with your sister, alright?
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
The day Maeve was born, Sean saw Maeve as his. He's always mentored her, loved her, supported her and encouraged her in everything. And she him.
My name is Sean McAllister. I'm from Wesley, New South Wales. I play cricket, I coach cricket, I love cricket.
I'm heavily involved with Thornley Cricket Club, creating a girls' knockout cricket team. You had all the parents and you had the children, and we said, right, who's able and willing to coach? Not a parent put their hand up.
I put my hand up to coach because I was just curious about it, didn't really know what it involved, but just wanted to try it out. Maeve's like, I'll sign up if you get me a cricket bat.
Says, Mum, can I have my money to buy a good cricket bat for his sister out of his own money?
Because he was so happy she was playing
taken
cricket.
it up, you know, and that was beautiful.
She liked the colour blue, so I got her like a blue kookaburra. She was really, really happy.
Once he started coaching, he just fell in love with it.
So just start with like a light jog and warm up. Then we'll do the game called Rub the Nest. It's pretty much where there's a bunch of stuff in the middle, and there's 4 groups around it, like that. What they'll do is one at a time run to get the stuff in the middle. Once all the stuff's gone in the middle, you can start stealing from the other cones. And the group with the most stuff wins. So that's a good drill for like running between the wickets. When you're going for a turn, you get low and explode out. Then we'll do a throwing drill. Hold the elbow and like wrist, and all I want you using is the wrist. In your throw, you got to learn to use every part of your arm. I like to be fun with the girls and I don't want it to be boring. I try and avoid the nets and do it more through games. Through it, I've always been fun. I haven't been really strict or anything, but the girls have improved a lot.
Fridays he's training the girls' cricket, and he's also runs the junior blast cricket. I've had some dads and mums say to me, oh, they listen to him more than they listen to us, so... Saturday morning he plays cricket, Saturday afternoon he is coaching the girls' cricket. You don't sit on your hands and watch other people do the work. You get involved and you roll up your sleeves, and that's Sean.
At school, Mr. Williams came up to me, he's like, I know you do coaching. I'm looking to start a girls' team. Would you like to help out?
It's been about 5 years since we entered a girls' team through the school at Penn Hills High.
And we had 25, 26 girls try out in the first week.
Sean is extremely passionate. He has also been extremely supportive. We've started to see a growing enthusiasm from our girls, and I think they value what he does with them.
His leadership and how relaxed he is would be his better qualities.
I'm thankful that he wasn't afraid to put up his hand and help us, even though some people would say he's too young, that women's cricket doesn't matter, but Sean's always been there to help me through it. It's telling the girls that they shouldn't be afraid to go for it, that they can do what the boys can do as well.
For Maeve, as long as she can pursue whatever she wants to pursue, that she's not held back by anything, then that's a good thing. I love Maeve. I want her to do well. That's about as simple as it gets.